Hello, I'm Andy, and today I want to give a quick overview about Hausa and how to play them in Supremacy, like the meta or standard build or standard playstyle. I think where they excel at. So Hausa is one of the African civilizations, and with Hausa you benefit a lot from Livestock, and you got a fast explorer, which I don't think is much better than the normal explorer, but it's a bit faster. And yeah, with the Explorer you have got an ability where you can make or confuse Guardians, which means they will attack each other if there are more than one, or if they just stun a Guardian. So yeah, basically it's a normal Explorer where you can also can build universities, which I get into later, and also palaces, which are a bit like Agra forts, so weak force, but also kind of threatening. And they can of course build trading posts. So, what's special about houses? So, what can they do with their cattle? So, in the livestock market, you can sell the cattle for coin or for wood, which means you get for example, like here for this 170 food, you're getting around 160 wood out of it immediately, so you don't have to gather anything. It's not like crates or anything. And what typically you want to do with your first cow, which I just did, you want to sell it and you want to get the first food upgrade, so the first hunting upgrade in the granary. Maybe I also, talking about the granary, in the granary this attracts wild animals like the shrine do, but unlike Japan, you can hunt these animals, and they are gathering them faster if they are around a granary. So these villagers, they are gathering all food faster if they are around a granary, and that means you should always, I think, at the start get one. And yeah, you also, because you're benefiting so much from the livestock, you want to get out as much, or you want to get as many livestock as possible. This means on Florida in specific, you can use your livestock market wagon to get 1 or 2 livestocks, or even more because you already have got a livestock market. Yeah, and I think you can always get at least 1 or 2, or try to scout around your base, because the few seconds you spend getting the livestock is, or where your livestock is not getting a bit fatter because of your livestock market, it's usually not that big of a deal. And it's more important to get more livestock out. So yeah, so it's very important to get as much livestock out as possible. Other than that, you want to just gather as much food as possible or as early as possible. Or for treasures, you want to get out food, experience, and wood, so you can speed up your age up. I typically age up with 15 villagers, and then I transfer some to coin and to wood, because you can sell your livestock for coin and for wood. That means that you're oftentimes mainly gathering just food. I think that's probably the best approach to do it, because you're gathering food anyway faster than coin, for example. So you're more than 50% faster in gathering food. So that's of course always something that's true for our civilization, but that means if you can get an easy way to get coin or wood, you usually want to use this. Talking about livestock again, you cannot really sell them all the time, because this livestock value, this will go down once you sell it one time. And so it regenerates a bit, so you have to kind of sell every minute or something some livestock, and you cannot really panic sell, or I mean you can, but it's not something you really want to do. Yeah, and you're also getting one livestock with every shipment you are sending, which also really helps your economy. And yeah, basically always means I feel like Hausa always got a decent economy, just because of this livestock stuff they are getting. And one last thing, it's a bit minor, but your or maybe let's pause for a moment. The the livestock will always trigger some influence. Bigger livestock will trigger more influence, and if it's fattened, they will also trigger or will also trickle more influence. So I find for normal games this is not too impactful, so I wouldn't worry about keeping them alive. So for until they are fully fattened. I think if you need the resources, you should almost always just sell it if you are getting a good value out of it. So that's my approach. For aging up, I usually use the 300 wood and the war camp, and I try to get out units fast. So with the 300 wood, I get out the houses. I will send the 5 raiders, and I try usually to get another batch of raiders out too. So I've got 10 raiders to get some pressure on the map. And after that, I think what's very important with Hausa, with this kind of playstyle, is that you are always get out the full batches of units. So you should always try to get out the full batches of units, and then you will have a decent army. Yeah, also what I also usually try to do, I try to get the food upgrade very early. I think you should do this with most civilizations. But with Hausa, it's also kind of bigger priority. I mean, it kind of sucks that my units they get snared here and I have to sacrifice some, and basically they are all dead already. And I also usually I start with 10 raiders, but I kind of misclicked. So I have the javelin riders, and yeah. So maybe let's talk about the units now. So what are the raiders good at? I think the raiders are decent at tanking ranged fire, so like strelets or musket ranged fire. But they do suck if you have to fight them in melee against other cav. And they also are not very good against, yeah, of course, heavy infantry like musketeers and pikemen and stuff like this. So they tend to die fast in melee, but they survive a bit longer in range. And they got decent siege damage. They are good at raiding. So I think the best comparison is if like the Step Rider from China. So yeah, just a similar unit. Yeah. Also the H2 units I think from Hausa are pretty decent. You've got these Fulani archers. They got a lot of range, so that's good about them. And also they have so they basically don't have an attack delay. If you see it like this, most archers they have a long attack delay, so you can micro them a lot better than all the other archers. And of course because you've got these javelin riders, which are dragoon type units, which are also a lot better in melee attack against cav. So yeah, but basically I think they are decent units, but they are not really like I would rather have normal dragoons, to be honest. But they are nonetheless you have the skirmisher and dragoon unit combo in H2, which is pretty strong. So you kind of mix basically all the 3 units, because in H2 there's really no downside to do it. And then you really want to stay on... you want to use this to micro. I think I should have went back way earlier here, because I think I sacrificed way too many units here against all these units they have. But I also did some raiding here with my raiders. And all things considered, it's decent. For cards, I typically, because I felt like I could pressure him or release the pressure of me if I kill this blockhouse, I thought I was going for units, so I think the 7 Fulani archers might have been the better choice here, so I can really kill this kill this thing. But I went for Spice Trade, which is also a good card, because you tend to gather a lot of food with this civilization in particular. But also, what are also some good cards to get? I like this university. I think eventually, like right now, you should add a university to the mix just to get out some influence, and to get out maybe a griot. With the griot, you can speed up the production of buildings. So, for example, the town center. That means your economy will just get a small boost. You will age up a bit faster. Yeah, but at this point I chose the Fulani archers, which is also a good thing because I'm just attacking right now. And yeah, I'm just trying to not get cleaned up here. And yeah, as you can see, these javelin riders, they do quite some damage against the Cossacks. So they are quite decent against them actually. And the Fulani archers also trade okay against Strelets. With this unit composition, you don't have a lot of siege, so it takes forever to take down like a blockhouse or an outpost or something. I'm also still raiding, so I'm getting out a bit value out of these units. I think at this point I also realize, okay, I need more production. I can produce out of 2 war camps now. I also should get out some raiders. Which I think I realize now. Yeah, I do. And yeah, maybe about influence. So with influence, you can get out natives, and you can also get out the palace units, which are for the most part mercenaries. So the palace is kind of like a saloon, where you can get out all the outlaw units, and you can also get out mercenaries and the special units, I would say. So with influence, you can basically get the special units from this. You have also access to the Maigadi, which is a musketeer. I find them underwhelming, but maybe I'm just biased. I couldn't find a way to make them work. Also noteworthy are the Sudanese allies. So they are light infantry with close range. So yeah, usually light infantry like archers, they have a longer range, and that means that they are quite surprising because they look a bit like musketeers, but in reality they are like skirmishers from their stats. So yeah, so they are pretty strong. And yeah, I think I'm preparing my age up. I just cleaned this up. I think at this point I could have just also really made more units and just finish it. But I didn't feel the need. So maybe about universities. So universities, they give more influence if they are placed close to a trading post, and a town center and a palace. So you get like they have the space trickle of the university, which is 0.75. Then they get another 0.75 if you have at least 1 town center. So if you place 2 town centers around it, you're not getting like 1.5 influence per second. Or if you place it near 2 trading posts, you're also not getting 0.7. So it's a one type of bonus, or one-time bonus. And the palace also gives 0.75 influence per second. So what that means in practice is that the first university usually gives more value than the next universities, because the first university you can place near your town center. It's pretty safe. You oftentimes also get a palace, and yeah, so the first one is usually worth more than the second. So it's a bit like diminishing returns, if you remember that term from economics. So like if you're adding the second one, it's not as valuable as the first one. Okay, so what I'm waiting for here, because even I didn't spend any influence, so with this kind of playstyle you're not spending much influence. That's why the time you're reaching age 3, you typically have enough for one shipment here. The Senar Horsemen, they are a bit like Mamelukes, so they are very good, they are very tanky. Not as tanky as Mamelukes, but they are as threatening, I feel like. But what I want to send is the Hadisha Emirate, because this makes my upgrades for my melee cavalry cheaper. And yeah, I'm using this, so yeah, so it just save some stuff. Yeah, also, like, you have 4 units in this war camp, which are the archers here, which I already used, the Fulani archers, the javelin riders, and 2 types of melee cavalry. The elite raiders, they are a bit more squishy than the lifty knights, but they do more damage. And yeah, the lifty knights are, I think for fights, lifty knights are usually more useful, and for raidings, you want to use the raiders, obviously. Also, what's also noteworthy about Hausa is that you are upgrading 2 types of units at the same time, so similar to the Chinese. You have 1 upgrade for the Fulani archers and the javelin raiders, and you've got 1 upgrade for the lifty knights and for the raiders. So yeah, so that's also kind of how you get it. Maybe how can you get cannons out of them? You can, if you have a palace, there's an upgrade where you can train falconets. So I could have also placed a palace here, get the upgrade for 150 influence, and then instead of sending this Hadisha Emirate, I could have also produced 2 falconets, which also would have helped my push quite a bit. But in this case, I felt like the raiders or the melee infantry helped me more. Yeah, all in all, I think, what are the strengths of Hausa? I do think they have a very good H2. You can put on decent pressure. You can defend very well, I think. Your economy is also always kind of good. You don't really need to invest too much into your economy, and it will keep up with most other economies. So of course they're not like Dutch, where you invest a lot and then you boom a lot, and then you get a lot of resources out. It's not like this, but it's rather you have this silent boom going, which is kind of above average, I feel like. So it's a bit like French. You will always have a decent economy with French if you're not like losing a lot of villagers, and it's similar with Hausa. So the economy is decent. The units, especially at the start, they are also decent. You have got some timing potential with the natives here. Yeah, but what I do feel like where they struggle a bit is against like falconet pushes or something, because dealing against artillery usually means you have to send all your cav in. So yeah, so that feels like where they struggle a bit. I think against a lot of pressure from Aztec maybe, or from Russia, if he invested a bit more into his early game, then that maybe would have made it difficult. But I feel like defensive, because of these Fulani archers, you have got quite a micro potential. You should be able to defend it, and with some good SimCity. They also excel on livestock maps. They are very, very good. They benefit a lot from livestock. Like I've got a lot of livestock here, and I think that really also helped me win this game quite a lot. And one more point I had to add. I think I forgot. Yeah, economy is good. Units are decent. Livestock is decent. So all in all, yeah, okay. And one more downside, I feel like they are very. So they're not like a standard gameplay. They play out pretty standard, but also not really standard. You have to think about the livestock here all the time to get out most of them. The units are normal, but also kind of funky. With the economy, you have to care a bit. I think the economy is a bit easier to manage outside of the livestock because of the granaries, where you are pretty safe to gather hunts. But I think like the livestock trading, it takes some time to get used to, and it's not the easiest thing to do consistently and to do perfectly. So I think that takes quite some practice. And yeah, so it's not the easiest civilization, but it's a very fun civilization. I've got a lot of fun with these. They play a bit different. They have satisfying units, and they're just overall a fun and well-rounded civilization. So give them a try and let me know how it went, and see you guys around. Bye bye.